And let's be clear why this is so important. Russia's appetite for conflict and chaos undermines our security back here at home in the United Kingdom. That the barbaric attacks on Ukraine, once and for all, stop and agree to a ceasefire now. It drives up the cost of living, it drives up energy costs, so this matters deeply to the United Kingdom.
Is Putin deliberately stalling for time while his forces surround thousands of Ukrainian troops? That's exactly what Starmer accused him of when he condemned the Kremlin for playing delaying games with Trump's ceasefire proposal.
And agree to serious negotiations towards not just a pause, but a lasting peace, backed by strong security arrangements through our coalition of the willing. That is why now is the time to engage in discussion on a mechanism to manage and monitor a full ceasefire. And we won't sit back and wait for Putin to act. Instead, we will keep pushing forward. So the group I convened today is more important than ever.
The diplomatic chess match between these two leaders has suddenly escalated from political disagreement to outright hostility. Before you dismiss this as just another political spat, consider this. Trump himself warned this standoff could lead to World War III very easily. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
We agreed we will keep increasing the pressure on Russia, keep the military aid flowing to Ukraine, and keep tightening restrictions on Russia's economy to weaken Putin's war machine and bring him to the table. It brings together partners from across Europe, as well as Canada, Australia and New Zealand, with backing from others too, including Japan. And we agreed to accelerate our practical work to support a potential deal. So we will now move into an operational phase.
Beneath the diplomatic niceties and carefully crafted statements lies a high-stakes game of geopolitical chess that's rapidly intensifying. Keir Starmer's recent formation of what he's dubbed a coalition of the willing represents far more than just another international alliance. It's a direct challenge to Putin's strategy of attrition and delay. This coalition isn't just impressive in its breadth, spanning approximately 25 nations including European powers, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, alongside officials from both the EU Commission and NATO. What makes it truly remarkable is the unanimity of purpose these diverse nations have found in confronting Russia's aggression in Ukraine. The timing of this coalition's formation is particularly telling. As Russian forces continue to make incremental gains on the battlefield, Starmer has publicly accused Putin of deliberately stalling peace efforts, an unusually blunt accusation from a British Prime Minister. But the evidence supporting this claim continues to mount daily. Putin's ceasefire conditions reveal the true nature of his strategy. His demands that Ukraine severely limit its military mobilization and training capabilities while simultaneously requiring Western nations to halt all military aid are transparently designed to cripple Ukraine's defensive capabilities.
President Trump has offered Putin the way forward to a lasting peace. Now we must make this a reality. So this is the moment to keep driving towards the outcome that we want to see, to end the killing. Our militaries will meet on Thursday this week here in the United Kingdom to put strong and robust plans in place to swing in behind a peace deal and guarantee Ukraine's future security. A just and lasting peace in Ukraine and lasting security for all of us.
As many international observers have noted, these aren't conditions for peace. They're prerequisites for surrender. The language being used by UK officials has undergone a remarkable transformation in recent weeks. Gone is the measured diplomatic speak that characterized earlier phases of the conflict. In its place, Starmer has issued stark warnings that without proper security guarantees, Putin will breach the line again. Language that reflects a growing recognition that half measures will no longer suffice in deterring Russian aggression. Even more significant was Starmer's unambiguous declaration that if Putin continues to reject an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, the coalition will accelerate our military support. tighten our sanctions on Russia's revenues. This represents a dramatic escalation in both tone and substance, signaling that Western patience with Russia's delaying tactics is reaching its breaking point. The video conference that brought together these 25 world leaders wasn't merely symbolic. According to sources close to the discussions, detailed planning is underway for potential military deployments across multiple domains. The upcoming meeting of military planners in London aims to develop concrete operational plans rather than simply issuing more statements of solidarity. What makes this current diplomatic crisis particularly volatile is the response from Moscow. Rather than engaging constructively with these initiatives, Russian officials have responded with increasingly hostile rhetoric. Dmitry Medvedev's crude suggestion that Britain should shove their idea back where it came from represents a new low in diplomatic discourse and signals Russia's growing contempt for Western peace initiatives. Meanwhile, a potentially game-changing development has emerged from Kyiv. President Zelensky's announcement that Ukraine has developed a new missile with a range of 1,000 kilometers could fundamentally alter the strategic balance. "We have tangible results. The range of 1,000 kilometers," Zelensky stated, in what many military analysts view as a significant leap in Ukraine's offensive capabilities. This new weapon system could potentially allow Ukraine to strike military targets deep within Russian territory, forcing Moscow to recalculate its defensive posture across a much wider geographic area. The psychological impact of such a capability shift cannot be underestimated in how it might affect future negotiations. What we're witnessing isn't simply diplomatic posturing or political theater. It's a fundamental shift in how Western nations are approaching the conflict. The consensus forming around Starmer's coalition suggests that many world leaders have independently reached the same conclusion. Putin is indeed playing a calculated waiting game, hoping that Western resolve will crack before Russia's resources are exhausted. The evidence for this assessment continues to accumulate. Even as Russian diplomats ostensibly participate in peace discussions, Russian forces continue their grinding advance in eastern Ukraine. The rejection of multiple ceasefire proposals, including those offered through third parties like Trump, reveals a pattern consistent with a strategy aimed at exhaustion rather than resolution. The confrontation between Starmer and Putin has now reached a critical juncture that will test whether economic pressure can succeed where diplomacy has failed. Starmer's vow to strain every sinew to ramp up economic pressure on Russia signals a more aggressive approach that moves beyond mere rhetoric. History shows us that coalitions of the willing have produced mixed results in international conflicts. But the stakes here couldn't be higher, with Russian forces continuing their advance while peace talks stagnate. What remains uncertain is whether economic sanctions, combined with the threat of peacekeeping deployments on the land, at sea, and in the sky, will actually force Putin's hand or simply drive Russia toward further isolation and aggression. The coming days will reveal if Starmer's coalition can move from tough talk to concrete action. As military planners gather in London to develop operational details, the world watches nervously to see if this diplomatic chess match ends with a negotiated peace or if Trump's dire warnings about a wider conflict might actually materialize.